Well, this was not the game the Fever fans had hoped to see. It was a disappointing effort. It was a disappointing performance from the Fever in what was an 80-61 loss to the Golden State Valkyries, the expansion team playing their first game ever here in Indianapolis. I'm Scott Agness of FieldhouseFiles.com as we had a rare afternoon game. It was camp day here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Really not necessary much anymore over the last couple of years with the increased fan base and audience. Typically, a decade or two ago, this is a great day because you'd fill the place, 10,000 such fans, bringing all kinds of campers in, and you got to realize a lot of them, this is probably their first, maybe their only exposure to the team. But the Fever, well, they sell out wherever they go, so it's not necessarily needed. That's something we'll watch in upcoming seasons. But 16,798 fans packed the field house here today to see what was a troubling performance overall from this Fever team, especially in the fourth quarters. They scored 19 points combined, the same total they scored in the third quarter alone. I think for those two quarters combined, they were also 7 of about 34 shooting. Really struggled from distance in this game, 6 of 27.
A team like Golden State, who's really solid defensively, who try to force you into tough twos. When we drew them into the paint, we tried to shoot over 4 or 5 people instead of seeing our easy passes out. Sometimes we've seen, with our group, that physicality lends us to getting tunnel vision. So we got to continue to work that.
Shooting wasn't there, attention to detail wasn't there. And it really was a frustrating performance overall, given the fact that you had new bodies. Demiris Dantas was back with the team after spending time with Brazil and reaching the title game for the AmeriCup there in Santiago, Chile, and playing one of the most complete performances of anyone in that tournament. She was back, and I think they didn't expect to have to play her today, but given the rebounding edge and given the early struggles inside, she ultimately did play there in the second half. The main thing was it was for Caitlin Clark. Her, like Dantas, playing in her first game with the team since June 24th on that road trip. She had missed the last 5 games, including the Commissioner's Cup Championship game. She finished with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, but was certainly battling, trying to find her game rhythm, flow, and endurance as well. She played the first 5 minutes or so and then turned to the bench and asked out. I think while she's not on a minutes restriction, playing about 25 minutes here in this one, she did want to play more in short bursts as she works her way up to that regular playing time. But as usual, she faced a heavy workload defensively from opponents. They pressured her full court, they trapped her, they blitzed her when she moved across mid-court, and so then it becomes on her as much as it is everyone else to find the solution. And again, it feels like we've talked about this countless times this season, so I even asked them post-game about it. Why do these reoccurring themes continue to be there? It's the lack of following the game plan and the lack of focus, lack of attention to detail, etc. You maybe understand some of that with players going in and out of the lineup. You had DeWanna Bonner want to move on from the team, and then you were short. You brought in Ari McDonald as the emergency exception, but ultimately now it's starting to be gut check time for this Indiana Fever team. Here's what Caitlin Clark had to say about her return.
It felt good to be out there. I thought we started really well. I thought we were competitive. I thought we played with energy in the first 5 minutes. And then, when they kind of went on their first run, it kind of deflated us a little bit, which I'm not really sure why. But the offense, I think, for us, it starts on defense. And we, struggled, scouting report wise, we struggled personnel, we struggled to do what the coaches asked of us, and then, overall, we just played with more energy and effort, and, those are the things that just can't happen. So, it's every single person on our team, and, nobody played well today, and, you should look yourself in the mirror and find ways where you can get better, and come back to practice tomorrow and then play again on Friday.
Fever had a couple chances there in the second and third quarters when things got tight, but they were unable to build any type of separation. The game was tied at 32, and what did we see? We saw the Valkyries close the half on a 9-0 run. Then, a game later on in the third, Fever got to within 5 points, 55-50. But then I think it was like 15 unanswered and a 23-5 Valkyries run. 14 turnovers by the Fever, including 6 in that second quarter. Several defensive lapses, lack of energy, and the competitive fire is something that head coach Stephanie White went to and repeated several times post-game.
I was disappointed because I felt like there was a lack of competitive fire. With the exception of about 2 5-minute spurts, our attention to detail was poor. I'm not sure if it's not knowing the game plan as much as, because if it's not knowing the game plan, then that's a whole other conversation, as much as not executing the game plan. Our attention to detail, undisciplined. I felt like our energy and our competitive fire was not there, and that's disappointing.
Now, there was one change to the starting lineup in addition to obviously bringing Caitlin Clark back. It was not Ari McDonald who went to the bench. Instead, it was Lexi Hull, obviously Caitlin's close friend, and they did that because they wanted to have a two-guard set in the backcourt where you can allow those 2 ball handlers in addition to Kelsey Mitchell to help alleviate the pressure with Caitlin Clark, as they knew how she would be defended and those sorts of things. Certainly something they can tinker with here moving forward, but we saw a lot of that in practice over the last couple of days, and Ari has shined. She has played well in her short time here with the Fever, both early on and then once she was brought back. The other player who shined in this one, really the only one maybe, was Makayla Timpson. She's done a tremendous job taking advantage of her minutes. She got 20 minutes in this one. I think it's her 5th straight game playing at least 11 minutes. So they're depending and relying and looking to the rookie more. And I think they did so in this one in particular because the rebounding battle. They were minus 11 in this one. They gave up 10 offensive rebounds in the second half. Offensive rebounds, which leads to those second chance opportunities. And it was even an offensive rebound that jump-started that run for the Valkyries in the third quarter after the Fever had closed the gap to within 5.
I think she's been tremendous. The athleticism that she has, she blocks shots, she gets her hands in passing lanes, and I think she's still navigating kind of how we're playing and figuring that out and getting minutes under her belt, but she's going to be a great asset for us as we go forward here, and I'm just really proud of her. She comes in every single day, works as hard as she can, is a great teammate, and when her number's been called, she's really produced. So it's really awesome to see the way she's playing, and I know she'll keep it up going forward.
For every young player, coming into the league, particularly post position, it's learning the feel and her ability to continue to grow, continue to get her work in outside of practice time with Keith, our player development coach. And being ready when her number's called. I mean, you can see she's got really good instincts on the defensive end of the floor. She's continuing to find her way on the offensive end of the floor. She's bouncy, so she gives us a different type of look, on the interior. And there's no substitute for experience. So in some areas where opponents might take advantage, it's just experience. And I think she's come so far in these last 4 or 5 games and anticipate her continued growth.
Again, we heard Stephanie White just disappointed in the attention to detail and the effort, not playing with that competitive fire, especially second chance points like I was mentioning. And the big picture here is the Fever, when they don't shoot well, they don't get a couple big performances, they're not going to have success. They're right now about an average defensive team. They need to be better there, but they're now 1 of 7 now this season when shooting worse than their opponents. 6 of 27. You're not going to win any, if many, games at that mark. But now, again, it's gut check time for this Fever team. They're healthy. Excuses aren't there. Caitlin Clark certainly was still ramping up back to her normal regimen and playing style as she's still dealing with that left groin injury. It's certainly not going to be 100%, and you realize she probably won't have much time off during All-Star Weekend coming up here because it's in Indianapolis. But there are 4 games coming up between them. 2 at home, and then 2 on the road. The 2 at home in particular. Atlanta's going to be a physical matchup. Dallas will be fascinating. That's a featured game nationally on ABC. And then you're on the road against Connecticut and the New York Liberty to round out this first part of the season. But first up, I got to imagine they will have a long film session coming up Thursday afternoon, followed by practice here on the court here at Gainbridge Fieldhouse before they take on the Atlanta Dream here Friday. The Fever, by the way, 1-2 against the Dream this season. This will be their final meeting, and we're not even to All-Star break. So it's just quirky sometimes how the schedule works out. But the Fever know they've got to be a lot better.
Our coaches do a great job of giving us scout on every player, and I think collectively we didn't do a good job at taking away the stuff that their team likes to do and making them do things they don't want to do. We didn't do a good job of that. We also gave up some timely offensive rebounds that they do a great job of kicking it out, getting open looks, getting open threes late in the game. I mean, I think it really just comes down to effort and us not locking in mentally and following the scouting report. You know, our team, we have a lot of inconsistency. We raise to the occasion when we're playing for 30,000, and then we need to bring that level of focus and that level of energy every single day. It's really hard to win in this league, and I think, you know, we need to focus every game because all of these games matter when September, October comes. So it's really just going to come to us, and we really need to regroup, turn the page, learn from this, and come with a better mindset on Friday.
Now make sure you are subscribed to fieldhousefiles.com and my YouTube channel to stay atop all the Fever and Pacers news. Again, the Fever lose this one 80-61 after we thought they were creeping above 500 and could add to it. Nope. Now they're one game below at 9-10 on the season. From Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I'm Scott Agness for fieldhousefiles.com.